Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Today, I'm going to be doing my knowledge speech. I'm going to be expanding on my past speech, which was about aquariums and aquascaping. For my knowledge speech, I'm just going to be sharing some helpful information for beginners on starting a tank if that's something you're interested in. Just also for the knowledge speech. So, the first thing I want to recommend, I don't have it with me, but for a tank, a lot of people think that a smaller tank is easier to take care of, right? Less is less, more is more. That makes sense. But I actually recommend at least a 15-gallon tank minimum because the more water in a tank actually means that it's a lot easier to keep the water parameters more stable compared to a smaller tank. Any adjustments you're making in a smaller tank when there's a lot less volume of water is going to have a lot more severe of an impact on anything in that tank. It's going to have a much larger effect on it. So that's one tip that I would recommend is for beginners is actually using a larger tank. At least I'd say minimum 15 gallons is a good starting point. Another thing that I highly recommend is a full spectrum LED light. You can get these. I'd recommend getting them used because they are kind of costly, especially full spectrum LED ones can be more on the expensive side. But the reason being is that light essentially acts as the sun for your tank. Imagine if we didn't have a sun, all of our plants would die. That means no food, no nothing. You need it for a balanced ecosystem. It's very essential. The next thing I recommend that is probably the most important thing for a aquarium is a sponge filter. This one's a little dirty, but you can still see. I recommend these much more over a just like a filter that you'd stuff over the back or just like a loud box one, because the most important thing is that these sponges hold beneficial bacteria for your tank, which is something that other filters don't really do. They hold it a little bit, but these are really good at it because of all the surface area in between the sponge. All of the water is getting sucked in. The beneficial bacteria can process it all through this as it is. The beneficial bacteria basically acts as the filter itself. The sponge really just houses the bacteria. Another really good thing about sponge filters is from here, bubbles come out from the water being pumped in. That creates oxidation, which is also very important for a balanced ecosystem. Oxidation in water is essential for life. The sponge filters right here. This is just a little piece for when the pump fails or if the water goes back in. That stops the water from going to the pump and ruining it. I also think that the pump and sponge filter is very good because these you can conceal a lot better. You can hide them. And they're a lot less noisy and annoying than some of the filters that just kind of hang off the back, at least in my opinion. I think they're a lot better. They're pretty simple once you understand it. And yeah. For the inside of the tank, I'd recommend any natural substrate, rocks, pebbles, sand, anything you can go outside and go grab yourself is great. Obviously, anything you're bringing from outside in is going to have any little micro bugs and organisms that you might not want. However, they're actually very beneficial for tank. I highly recommend it rather than just going to a store and grabbing a generic bag of rocks. You can do that, but it's convenient to do that, but I'd recommend just go scooping your own. It's pretty easy. Another thing that I did recommend in my past speech is live plants for the same reason as everything else. It's organic. You can't be organic. That is just the way to go with these kind of things. If you're trying to simulate life and create an ecosystem for fish to live their natural life and in a natural habitat, you're going to need they're natural things. Plants, rocks, you're going to need to make a natural ecosystem. But just those three simple things I thought I would share that are the basis for starting a tank. I think that while that is just the basics, I think that that's a great foundation to understand why that some of these things are more important, the pros and cons over some, like I shared about the sponge filters and the pumps and other alternate solutions. But yeah, other than that, I hope y'all enjoyed my speech, and I hope y'all have a good rest of your day. Thank you.